Hi everyone, Pat Dougherty here with your Tennis IQ topic for today. Building confidence. And it starts in practice. But let's look at some of the things that are involved in this process. What keeps confidence level low? Well, when you're exposed to a lot of a ratio of losses versus wins, that certainly can eat away at your confidence for sure. Streaks of failure certainly are a big issue. When you're trying to play too aggressively, shaping points to try to end them with winners, and you're failing a lot more than you're succeeding, that will take your confidence level down. A lot of times it comes down to the structure of your practice, though, too. A lack of quality practice. You just get out there and hit around with your buddy for a while, making each other look good isn't necessarily going to translate into a lot of confidence. So you have to put measurability to your practice time so that you have something to sink your teeth into each day. Okay, so instead of just hitting down the middle of the court, let's see how long we can sustain a cross-court pattern on our forehands, and we do it on the backhands. Let's shoot for 50 in a row, and then the next day you add 10 more, and keep building that way. Unforced errors is the quickest way to really lose your confidence, where you start feeling like you're beating yourself instead of getting beaten by the opponent. One of the things that you have to acknowledge, though, is that sometimes you're just purely getting outplayed. And when that's the case, don't shut it down. Learn from it. Stay engaged. Try to figure out what are they doing against you that's working so well, and maybe how you can start practicing to integrate some of the techniques and tactics that they're using against you. So getting outplayed is an opportunity that we should all look forward to. And when that happens, you know what? At the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily say that you failed. If you lost to them, you did the best you could with what you got. So we've got to give ourselves that outlet. What builds confidence up? Victories and streaks of success. So this involves your choice of what kind of tournaments you're signing up for. A lot of kids can't wait, especially the American kids, can't wait to jump up levels of play. They could be playing the 16s division, but they're signing up for an open tournament against a bunch of adults. And just because you can get into an event doesn't mean that it's going to translate into building your confidence if you're getting hammered in the first round. So, think about trying to select tournaments that you have a reasonable chance to get through at least a few rounds and build up your confidence. Confidence involves having a preparation and a plan going in. What do I plan to do on each point that I'm going to play? Am I going to adapt my game to a plan that works against the type of player that I'm playing against to find the easiest way to achieve victory? Or am I going to just hammer away at the way I prefer to play, whether it's working or not? So adding goal-driven practices, like I said earlier, measurable things that give you something to really sink your teeth into. Even thinking about match rehearsal, thinking about how's this going to go and preparing your mind for it. What I would say on that front is, don't go in expecting everything to go your way right out of the gate and be great and that you're going to play your best tennis. It's not realistic. Doesn't happen that often. When it does, you probably could have won a number of different ways. So go in expecting to deal with some adversity, expecting to struggle a little bit and suffer a little bit, but think about the ways you're going to work through all that. High quality performing. Again, the outcome doesn't always measure your performance. You're playing against somebody who's outplaying you. You may very well lose in the outcome, but it doesn't mean you didn't perform the best of your ability. So you want to kind of try to separate yourself from the outcome and focus more on just the individual point-by-point performance. What can you do to create streaks of success? Well, start embracing margin of error. The pros certainly do it. That's why they're so consistent. They're not trying to hit heroic shots left and right when it's not necessary. certainly they can step it up when they're forced to. But you want to think about relying on what you can do well. Build around your strengths. Try to protect your weaknesses as much as you can. And a lot of it comes back to being committed on a daily basis to your work. Like right now, what's your playbook? What are you doing every day to build your game up? And you're your own coach when you're on the tennis court. This is the way our sport works. So you have to do things that make you feel better about yourself, better about your ability to play this game. Then we get to selecting realistic events. Again, don't be in a hurry to hop up levels of play that you're not ready for yet. And this becomes really important as kids get out of the national tournaments and into the ITF stuff and start selecting tournaments all over the world to go travel to. Just because you can get into an event doesn't mean it's the right event for you. So you got to think hard about trying to create a career path and a success that comes from choosing events you can succeed in and increase your ranking. Lastly, respect for momentum. Once you've got a lead, guys, you can't just shut it down and expect the opponent to lay down. You've got to really build on that and keep working it and create motivation for yourself to close quickly. As I often say, mirror image the mentality of the opponent you're beating up right now when you have the momentum. Are they looking to give up and give it away to you? No. So they've got an urgency to come back and get themselves back into this match and level the score at least. So you have to have that equal amount of urgency to want to close out that match as quickly as you can and not shut down the engines expecting to just be handed to you. How do we build margin of error? Learn to work with more topspin. If you learn to create that the way they do on the tour with the heavy spin, they're not losing power just because they're adding spin. It works proportionately. So there is a way to do it. You just have to explore it until you figure that out. If you're losing a lot of power trying to add topspin to your shots, you're probably not doing it correctly. Learning to aim higher over the net can make a big difference. Learning to build points so that you're working towards bigger target margins makes a big difference. And that involves creating shot combinations where you're using one shot to open the court up so that the target's bigger for the next shot or two to take advantage of it. And, you know, we're all challenged to try to impress ourselves and everybody who might be watching with great shots. But try to limit the amount of times you're trying to win chasing perfection, because the success to failure ratio can eat you alive if you're not delivering on that. So if you want to win more often, go into a match making consistency a backbone of your game plan. Make it a weapon. I'm not going to break down first. The opponent's going to. Be willing to use that margin of error to your advantage. Don't build away from it for the final shot, especially. Build towards it. And if you don't have margin of error to work with, it's probably not the right time to try for a big shot. Take pride in the fact that you can be a great defender. It's at least half of being a great tennis player is learning how to defend against great offensive attacks, stay alive in the point, hopefully work for opportunities to set yourself up to take control of the offense. But it starts with great defense, and especially as you climb levels of play, you're going to run into situations, certainly when you first step up to that next level, where you're not able to dictate much offense. You're only going to survive on great defense. Don't let people, steer you away from that by calling you a pusher or anything like that. There's been great defenders, many, who've reached the very top of the game. Try to force the risk out of your opponent. So sometimes you have that option where you don't have to necessarily go for an outright winner, but you can put that burden on your opponent and attack them and come in and defend the net, make them have to come up with that great passing shot. Then you put that ratio of success to failure on their end of the court instead of your own. And that can be a great way to start improving your winning percentage. So, number of things to think about there, guys. Work on building your confidence, and good luck.